Hey friends, it's Angie from The Road to Simple. I am at my craft desk today and I'm going to make some Christmas cards. So I wanted to invite you to join me and get some ideas that you might like to do yourself. So stick around. Welcome to my home and my craft desk. My husband and I live in Louisiana, where we are on the road to simple. We are trying to decrease the amount of possessions that we have. We have a ways to go, but we're on the road, and so every little bit of progress is still progress. So I like to make videos about simplifying things, and so if this is something that you're interested in, I hope you'll subscribe to my channel and find some valuable information there. Today I'd like to share with you some easy way to make Christmas cards. So I've got some of my supplies out here, and let me get the rest of them out and then we'll get started. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to make cards on just two separate colors of paper. This one kind of has a fleck to it, white, kind of off-white with a fleck to it. And this is just a caramel tan cardstock. So you'll want to make sure you have cardstock and not just regular paper. And then we will just need to cut 8.5 by 11s in half. So use whatever paper cutter you have just to cut your 8.5 by 11s in half. And this cutter has a really handy scoring blade, which I love. So then you score your card at 4 1/4, which gives it a crease that you can fold on, if you can see that. So if you don't have a bone folder like this, just grab a ruler. That works just fine. Okay, here's an idea for a vintage looking snowflake. So you wouldn't necessarily think of snowflakes being brown, but that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to be careful to see how dark that is when I first stamp it. I'm going to stamp, you can stamp a couple of times and get it the consistency that you want it. So I'm just going to stamp these small snowflakes. Just don't be deliberate about anything. Just make sure you go off of the edge. You have to go off of the edge with your stamps. So here's what I've got to begin with the little snowflakes. You can see that. And then I'm going to go back with a couple of different ones. Let's see. I have this other one. It's a little bit, so I'm going to go to the bigger stamps. Yeah, that looks neat. Can stamp it once, stamp it twice to see what it looks like. I want these real light, so I think I'm going to stamp off and then stamp it here. And again, these are going to be kind of random. Stamp off. Off, one on the edge, and then I have another design. So we could have it look like layers, like lighter ones in the back, and these are a little bit closer, and then this one I'm going to do full ink, I think. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, that looks neat. So they kind of look like they're so if you can see, it's hard to see on this light, I know. Kind of gives you some depth. It looks like the lighter ones are in the distance and the darker ones are in the forefront. Just a simple wintry vintage card. Then on the inside, stamp off to see. On the inside, we're just going to add warm winter wishes. And then I'm going to do one stamp on the inside. Wonder which one we should do. I think this size is probably about right. But instead of doing it full ink, I'm going to stamp off one time and then stamp down here. Put it in the corner so it's light. I think I'm going to use this one on the envelope. I'm going to stamp off because I don't want it that bright. Corner. Now, if you were handwriting your return address, I would stamp here and then handwrite your return address, but most people are going to have stickers, so I wouldn't put it there. But if I was going to handwrite my address, it would be pretty to have a, let me just show you. Let's do that. Maybe I'll do that one on this one. Handwrite my return address over that stamp, and that would look really neat. And I think I will do one on the back as well. See how pretty that is on the back? That's the one thing I really like about doing stamps, is that you can make your envelope to coordinate with your card. So I think that looks really neat. I like the way this one turned out. Let's do another vintage looking card, and this is one of my favorite stamp sets. I think this is really cute with the snowman. It's from Stampin' Up, but again, this is an old set, so not sure that you could find this now, but I'm sure you could find some other snowmen. But for that simple vintage look, I'm going to stick with this caramel colored paper. I'm going to stick to these same ink colors and paper colors. I just really like the brown on brown look for something vintage. So let's stamp off to see, make sure, do a test stamp, see how it works. Looks like I really need to ink this one up really good. Alright, let's see how it goes. I'm going to put it up a little bit higher so that I can put a greeting message underneath it. Press for a few seconds. This light is making it hard to see. There's some holes in it, but again, it's supposed to look old and vintage, so if some of it's faded out, it may be just fine. So let's kind of see. So what I think I'm going to do is put Happy Holidays across the bottom. That's coming out nice and dark. So then I'm going to take my blender pen. So I have this set of pastels. Lightly add a few colors. And I'm going to stick with muted colors because this is vintage, so I'm not going to use the bright colors. Use this red maybe to put some stripes on this scarf. There's a heart there. Isn't that cute? And see how soft the colors look when you use a blender pen? I think that looks really neat. Now, I could add some color in here if I want to, or I could leave that just brown. But since we have color everywhere else, I think it needs some color down here too. So I think I will pick up some red. I don't want it to be too dark, so I'm going to test it over here before I put it on here. And then you can just kind of trace over the letters a little bit. Just to give it a faded look. Now granted, this is going to take longer than if you just stamp it. But if you enjoy coloring, this is really fun to do. I mean, you could just stamp it and leave it at that too. But I think it looks neat to add something to it. So we've added just a little bit more color to it. Very vintage looking. So what you could do when you're making something like this, you could go ahead and stamp up 10, 20 cards or whatever. And all you have to do is get out your pastels and your blender pen, and you could sit in front of the TV and color your cards. Just get all your stamping, folding and stamping done, and then you could color them in whenever you have time. A sentiment that says, wishing you merry days, a heart that's light, family and friends, a season bright. There's a little mitten that goes in this set. I'm going to stamp the mitten. I'm going to put it down here in the corner. Oh, very cute. And then I will color this mitten in. Just very faint, just a very faint color. That's all you need. It's just a little bit of color. Give it that vintage look. I'll stamp and stamp off. See how dark that is? And then I'm going to stamp it the second time so it'll be lighter. This is super cute. Put this on the back. I'm going to stamp this lightly across the back of the envelope flap. So it's very, very light. You can see it. I just want it to be very, very light. So here we go. I think that's really cute. And I'll stamp my Angie on the back, and then it'll be done. This is an example of how handy your pastels can be. So I would definitely advise you to get some pastels. That way you don't have to have lots of color ink pads. you can just use your color with your pastels. And I prefer pastel look as opposed to markers. And you could use markers to color this in, but to me, I like the faded, soft look of a simple vintage card. So I really enjoy using pastels. Just means a lot more when someone knows you took the time to create a card for them, handmade card for them, and I just think it makes it just a little bit more special. All right, I'm going to start with this stamp, and on this tan, I'm going to use a olive green stamp. I like the olive color as opposed to a bright green, but it just depends on what kind of look you want. I mean, I've inked up my stamp with the green. Now I always test it on just a piece of paper just to make sure to see how it's working. And see, I did not get the bottom of it. So let me do this again. I'm going to lay my card down, line this up in the middle. If you can see this or not. Push. And since this one's having a little trouble with the top and the bottom, I'm going to rock it just a little bit. Fingers crossed. Yes, came out pretty good. I think you can see it there. But if you just wanted a very simple card, you could be done right there. But what you could also do is, this actually has a star and some hearts and other things on here present, so you could go in and color those if you would like. So this is one way that you could do this card. Just one single stamp, stamped in green, and then take your blender pen and highlight the words that you want to highlight. And then for the inside, we have Warmest Holiday Wishes. Test it, and it's doing really well, so that one's working good. So on the inside, we can have Warmest Holiday Wishes. And this set has a cute little heart with holly that I'm also going to put on the inside. So here we go. So I'm going to use this same heart stamp on the envelope. I'll put it right here. And I'm going to take my blender pen and color the berries red. And add a little color to the leaves. So there's our finished card. It's always important to clean your stamps. So I have my handy dandy cleaner that you wash on one side, dry on the other. Wash on one side, dry on the other. I'm going to use the same stamp on this white speckled paper, but I'm going to do a completely different technique on this. And I'm going to use a VersaMark stamp pad. So this is something that you can get at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, anywhere. This is not a Stampin' Up product. A VersaMark is just a clear ink, and then you can provide color, add color to that clear ink. So I'm going to ink up the same. I'm going to ink up the same tree with the VersaMark. Just make sure you get a lot of ink on there. It'll just kind of look a little shiny. You can kind of see the shine when it's on there. Now I'm not going to test this because this is clear ink, so I'm going to just put it straight on here, and I'm going to push top and bottom, since I know this one was having a little issues getting the bottom. Okay, now you can't really see anything there, but this is where the magic happens, and this is the technique that I really, really like. So I'm going to use my pastels, and these are called sponge daubers. So you really can't use a regular sponge. You need to have something kind of small like these. Ooh, it's been a while since I've opened these, and now they've made a mess. This may not be good. Oh no. These are so old. If you can see, they're just falling apart. My goodness. Okay, so that was a spontaneous moment there, real life issue. Since my sponge daubers have crumbled away because they've been stored away for years and not used. So there's another reason why you don't want to hold on to things if you're not going to use them. So I'm going to try an experiment here and see how a Q-tip will work. So let's just see what happens here. See what happens as I do this? Such a soft look when you use the pastels. But I'm just gonna have to get some new sponge daubers. I'm sure you can get something like that at Hobby Lobby or Michael's. I just didn't have any, so I'm trying to make do with Q-tips today. And it's not so great, but you get the idea. But it gives you a nice soft look. And then I can do the berries in red. It's working a little bit better now. ever buy colored ink pads, you don't have to. You can just use your VersaMark for everything. I'm going to put my hand stamp by Angie on the back here. You can get any type of stamp that says, you can always find them that say stamped with love or hand stamped especially for you, something like that. Or maybe you can order your own personal stamp sometime. I really love spending time with you, and I hope you have found some good ideas here to get started on making a few cards. Well, I would certainly appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up and leave me comments and let me know if you are a stamper or if this is something you're going to try. I would love to hear from you. And of course, I would really love it if you would subscribe to my channel so that we can meet back here again for other ideas about simplifying our lives. Don't let the busy holiday season get the best of you. Don't let it overwhelm you. Remember to keep things simple. I thank you for watching. I wish you a wonderful holiday season filled with lots of love, lots of laughter, all those good things. Those simple pleasures that we know are the best. So take care, and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.